Good morning. Today we are going to practice some two-point perspective. This is powerful stuff, so get ready. We're going to start with our sketchbook open in landscape direction. We're going to take our ruler and using an HB pencil, that's the best pencil for sketching, go ahead and lightly draw a line that splits your sketchbook from top to bottom in half. And this is going to be our horizon line. We can also refer to it as HL. Over on the right-hand side, where the horizon line hits the edge of your sketchbook, we're going to make a little point. This is the right vanishing point. Let's go ahead and label that. And all the way across on the other side is, yep, you guessed it, the left vanishing point. These three elements, the horizon line, right, and left vanishing point, is where we start with all of our two-point perspectives, and we can't build it without these three elements. Now imagine what we're doing is basically making some three-dimensional blocks. They're going to look something like this three-dimensional block. And one thing to keep in mind is the difference between faces and edges. These edges are where the faces come together, and the faces are the flat faces. With two-point perspective, you are always drawing with the edge coming toward the viewer, not the face coming toward the viewer. That's really important to keep in mind. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that the relative location of your cube to the horizon line will dictate if you see the top or the bottom of the cube. So right now, I'm placing this cube as if it's on the horizon line. You actually don't see the top or the bottom. If I bring it down, then you'll see the top as well as two sides and that front facing edge. And then if I bring it up, you'll see two sides, front facing edge, and the bottom. So keep this in mind. We're going to always start with that front facing edge. It'll be the first thing that we draw, and it is always going to be perpendicular to her horizon line. In fact, every edge line that is vertical is going to be perfectly perpendicular to our horizon line. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start by building a square down here in the bottom right. You can use your ruler. You're just going to make a line. It doesn't really matter if yours is exactly the same as mine. Mine's about 1.5 inches, but you can make yours however you want. The important thing is that it is down low below the horizon line and it is inside the right and left vanishing points. Now from here, we're going to draw a line from the bottom and from the top going back to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. And then from the bottom to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. Now really when you draw these lines, you want to be right on that vanishing point. Just as I say that, I draw so that it's not on the right vanishing point. Try to aim for accuracy. So measure twice, cut once, or whatever that old saying is. If you get really sloppy, then you kind of lose that sense of perspective. So this is as if it is the front of our cube is right here. This is the continuation of the right side, continuation of the left side, and we're going to build the top. And then we're also going to cut off the edges, which just means that this face that is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4 edges. Right now we only have 1, 2, 3, so we need to find that fourth edge. So let's do that. So you're going to take your ruler and you're going to align it with that front edge, and then you're going to pull that ruler back in the direction of your vanishing point, in this case the left vanishing point. You want to make sure that you do not twist your ruler. You want the next line that you draw to be perfectly parallel to that front edge. And this is where most people mess up. It'll look wrong if you twist your ruler, so keep that in mind. And then just draw a line really at this point as far over as you want. And then the same thing on the right side. I'm going to put my ruler on the right side of that center edge, and then I'm moving it back without twisting it toward my right vanishing point. And you can make this a square, cube, or you can make it rectangular. Now this is determined the left side and the right side of our cube. And now to find the top, super easy. We just find the top of the line that we drew, which is the back edge, and we go to the opposite vanishing point. So top corner goes to the left vanishing point, and then top corner goes to the right vanishing point. And then here's our cube. Pretty easy, right? Let's do another one, and we'll do it up here. So again, we're going to start with that line that is our front edge line, keeping in mind this is our line. And if we go above the vanishing point, then we'll end up seeing the bottom of our cube. So we're going to start with the line that is closest to the viewer. And it can be sitting on top of this line. It doesn't need to. It can kind of be any place up here. Let's put it over here, as long as it's inside the vanishing point and it is completely above the horizon line. Yours might be a slightly different length, but just for consistency, I'm going to go ahead and make mine about 1.5 inches. Boxes are different sizes and different shapes. So if yours is 1.25 inches or 1.75 inches, totally doesn't matter. Now again, we're going to start at the top, start at the bottom, and make lines that are going toward the left and right vanishing points. Again, make sure that you are aiming for accuracy. So now we have the beginning of our left side and of our right side of our box that's up here. So just like we did down here, we started with that front line, and then we found the back edge where, the back corner where this face ends. So you can just come down as far as you want. I'm going to put my ruler up against my front edge and then pull it down without twisting it toward my right vanishing point, strike a line, and then do the same. Put my ruler up against the front edge, pull it toward the left vanishing point, and you can see if I were to strike a line here, it would appear to be a tall, thin box. If I come over here, it's going to be a longer, rectangular box. So you get to decide what shape you want that box to be. Now I have the left side and the right side, and I need to find the bottom. I'm going to be doing that based on where my back edges intersect my lines that are going back to the vanishing points. So I'm going to come down to the bottom of this line up with my right vanishing point, and then come to the bottom of this line, come up down to my left vanishing point. And then there's my cube. Now let's do one more. We'll do it so that it is crossing over the line, that is the horizon line. This one's a little bit tricky, but we're going to do the same process. So again, we're going to start with this front line. In fact, we can go ahead and, let's go ahead and go. This is the first line we do, and then the second lines that we do, and then the third lines that we do, and finally the fourth sets of lines. So we'll do the same thing. We'll just go right over that horizon line. So strike a line, that is perpendicular to our horizon line. And then from the top, we have a line that goes to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. From the bottom, we have a line that goes to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. And then, just like we did here and here, we line up our ruler, slide it to the left, strike a line, and that is where our left side ends. Same thing on the right. And that becomes our right side. So we've been working with our HB pencil. Let's go ahead and use our 6B pencil and heavy up the lines that are accurate and do a little bit of shading. In this case, I'm just going over those lines that are part of my box. I'm not going to darken up the lines that were part of the construction process. I'm going to leave those so that I can see those lines. But this will help me delineate the difference between the construction lines and my actual box lines. Let's do that for up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some shading. If this is our sun, then imagine that any face of your cubes that the sunlight is able to get to are going to be lighter than the faces that it's not able to get to. So between these two faces, the side is going to be shaded. So you can use that beautiful 6B pencil and do some nice shading. If you're like me and you went a little bit fast, you might have to erase. You can also blend in using your finger, a blending stick, or a paper towel. In this case, this cube down here, the top is what's going to be getting most of the sunlight. So we're going to leave that white. This face over here is getting the least amount of sun. So we're going to shade that in a nice dark value. You might do this using a couple of layers of shading, but your goal is to try to get that whole side nice and dark and even. Again, you can use your finger if you want to blend. And then this face here is going to be a value between the top and the right side. It'll be getting a little bit of sun, but not nearly as much as the top. So we're going to shade this in, but we're using much, much less pressure. Between our perspective boxes and our shading, this should give a pretty convincing sense of 3 dimensions. And even though these are really simple boxes, understanding the basics of it means that you can use this approach with more complicated objects. On this side, the right side is going to be pretty dark. And the bottom's going to be pretty dark. Now you get to decide which side is getting less sunlight. Neither of these sides is facing the sun, so neither of them is going to get very much sun, but we can exaggerate one over the other just to make it a little bit more clear that it's a three-dimensional object. So you get to decide. I'm going to decide that the bottom is the one that's very, very dark, and either leave this one blank so that it is getting more of the sun, or you can shade it really, really light, maybe even just with my finger. I might do the same over here with that, just to give it a little bit of a sense of dimension. So now I'm gonna get my HB pencil, and I'm going to start with a line that is going to be the front of my box. At the top of that line, I'm going to make construction lines going back to the right and left vanishing point. And then I'm going to take my ruler, put it up against my front edge, slide it back as far as I want to create the left side of my box. Take my ruler, put it up against the front edge, slide it back toward my vanishing point, and maybe I'll make this box really long. Make sure that this line is vertical. Then I'm going to make lines toward the left side of my vanishing point and toward the right side of my vanishing point, and then where they cross is the top of my box. Now let's make one up here. With my HB pencil, I start by making a line. This is my front edge. And then from the top of that line to the left vanishing point, from the top of the line to the right vanishing point, from the bottom of the line to the front vanishing point, from the bottom of the line to the right vanishing point. Use my ruler, slide it toward my right vanishing point. Use my ruler, slide it to my left vanishing point. This gives me my left and right sides. Now to find the bottom, start at the bottom of the back right corner, go down toward the left vanishing point. And to find the other side of the bottom, construction line down to the right side of the vanishing point. Let's go ahead and heavy up those lines that are accurate. Now let's make a box that's split between the horizon line. Start with a line that is the center of my box. Now take the top corner, go back to the left vanishing point, the right corner, go back to the right vanishing point. bottom corner to the left, bottom corner to the right. Take my ruler, butt it up against that front edge, pull it back toward the vanishing point. Take that ruler, butt it up against the front edge, pull it back. And then let's go ahead and heavy up the accurate lines. There you go. Let's add some shading. My sun is coming down and hitting the top. That means this is going to be furthest away from the sun. So it'll be shaded nice and dark. Remember to shade with your 6B pencil. And shading is just drawing lines that are overlapping each other with equal amount of pressure. So the goal is to fill in all of the white space with an even amount of graphite. It usually helps me to go in the same direction and to apply the same amount of pressure, and a medium pressure is usually most effective. And then I like to blend in just to soften it and kind of blur a little bit. The left side is getting a little bit of sun, but the top is getting full sun. So we'll do medium pressure on the left side. You can also use colored pencils using dark, medium, and light blue, or dark, medium, and light green, for instance, is also an option. And then we'll leave the top white, just like we did over here. Now the sun is coming down. It's the face that is furthest from the sun is this one over here, so it's going to be in shade.